I kind of feel like I have a silly question, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say there's no silly questions. I had definitely a spiritual awakening about 5 years ago, and since then I've been integrating it, processing it, and for whatever reason, Kundalini came across. I mean, I've heard of Kundalini throughout the years, and actually at some point I was in a yoga class, and I told a friend of mine I was exploring Kundalini, and all they said was good luck. And I
Mm,
kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And it wasn't until just recently I started revisiting Kundalini. And I just got to be upfront. I don't believe I've had this Kundalini awakening. Like, I feel like I have sort of a slow drip of it. Like, I'll have these spasms,
mhm.
but I don't have what I've heard many people talk about, like this surge up the spine. Basically, what I want to ask, and I kind of feel like I know the answer, but it sounds like for the people who have had the awakening, that it's not been a pleasant experience at all.
Mm.
And however, I've heard enough of people saying that on the other side, it's been a beautiful experience just from the healing aspect. Also, last week, I forget what the woman's name was, but she mentioned Maharishika. And I was watching a lot of the videos since last week, and she flat out says, do not try to well, she says, do not disturb the Kundalini. Like it's not something you want to play with because it's so powerful. So basically, what I kind of want to just voice for my own sake is, would you not recommend people trying to, actively, consciously awaken their Kundalini, whether it's Kundalini yoga or whatever practice it is? Because I was actually doing Kundalini yoga and breath work. And when I saw these videos by Maharishika, I was like, it's scared the crap out of me, basically. So I kind of just stopped.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, John. So I don't recommend anybody tries to awaken this force with these very direct means of breath work or visualizations or using psychedelics to try and rouse Kundalini directly. Not at all. I don't recommend it. It can be done. It has been done, but it requires significant preparation beforehand. It requires uh, being informed on the intellectual level. It requires some sort of community, whether that's in the presence of a teacher. You have to be really well resourced if you are to actively play around with this. I think virtually all of us here didn't really try to awaken it. We may have just come into this through inadvertent means, maybe exploring psychedelics for personal growth or meditation because you were having some anxiety, or you went to yoga class because it's stretching and something to do. Like then inadvertently the Kundalini begins to rise, and then we have to deal with it. We can't say, why did I do this? We have to then work with it. That's fine. Um, in terms of the uh, energy rising up the spine and these surges of energy, um, that seems to be a hallmark of what we may call like a Kundalini awakening or a Kundalini rising. However, it doesn't happen like that for most people, it seems. Many people describe gentle awakenings that happen in a more slow drip over time, as opposed to this big rush of energy. It's just that the people who are the loudest, who tell the greatest stories about their awakening experiences, are the ones with these big rushes of energy. And so that has set a sort of stereotype that this is what it is. Whereas there are some who have very, very gentle awakenings, and they don't have these specific moments where they can pinpoint and say that's when it began or that's when everything changed. It's very gentle and gradual. And it's maybe a little bit more drawn out, but it's more ideal. If I could choose, maybe I would choose a more gradual awakening than a sudden rapid one, because it seems that the more rapid it is, the more fallout there is, the more recovery from that big explosion there tends to be needed. There's a great book I was speaking about it last week. It's called Stories of Spiritual Transformation by, I'll type it in the chat here, by Joan Shivar Pita Harrigan. In this book, they are the most sophisticated teachings of Kundalini. In this book, they tell 20 different stories of people having 20 different types of Kundalini risings, all very unique. But I may be mistaken. I read it like probably like a decade ago. I don't think even one person described like this massive energetic rising up the spine. All of them are very subtle awakenings, very, very subtle and all very valid. So one thing we can do is dispel the myth that Kundalini has to be this, specific thing of energy rising up the spine. Some people have the energy move downwards. Some people describe it beginning at the feet. This is the energy of God. It's not limited to time and space or direction. And so what I recommend, rather than playing with, directly trying to awaken Kundalini, we approach it in the indirect ways, which are the same things that we have to do once the energy awakens anyway, which means we surrender to a higher power, have some relationship with God, prayer, chanting, contemplation, whatever it is, self-care of the body, willingness to feel our emotions and thoughts, looking for truth, looking for God, whatever that means to us, like deeply looking, having some sort of being in the company of others on the path as well. There's an energetic radiance, right? We support each other through osmosis, even if that's reading books of ancient times. The energy is there. All of this will support a gentle and natural unfolding. Supporting the body with healthy foods, these types of things, removing unhealthy things that we're consuming, drugs, alcohol, media that's, violent or unhealthy in some way. All of these things create an atmosphere for the Kundalini to rise on its own in a very gentle way. And then even if you were to have an explosion of energy up the spine, you still have to do the same things that I just mentioned anyway. So this is my approach, which it's very safe, it's universal, and it also addresses this big question: am I having a Kundalini awakening or not? It doesn't matter. The work is the same. Doesn't matter. Anybody can engage in these practices and benefit. There's no harm in anything that I've just shared. Very safe, and uh, it's what we have to do anyway. So it just cuts through all of the intellectual um, complexities of the process. So I hope that can help you. Tell me what's coming up for you, John. I'll unmute you here.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I just want I want to be honest, like there was this appeal of like having that surge of energy, like I've always sort of been pretty mellow most of my life, and to hear like, oh, there's this incredible energy that just shoots through me potentially sounded very appealing. But I can relate, at least in sort of like in terms of my spiritual awakening, it was through psychedelics, really.
Mm.
And so it was very quick and it was very sort of, um, in a sense, it was helpful to have it quick so that I could, jump right into it, where I think normally I would doubt too much to
Right.
allow the process to sort of overcome me. Um, and yeah, to have this Kundalini surging as many have described here, or as I've heard in videos, it sounds extremely challenging. So yeah, my heart goes out to you, whoever's dealing with it. But yeah, like that's extremely, extremely helpful information because, like I said, it is sort of a slow drip for me. I
Yeah.
definitely believe it is. And it's such a confusing topic. And I'm super grateful for your work. I've watched many of your videos and now sort of spreading to other reliable videos. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It's like a lot of things today that aren't discussed that would be extremely helpful for our society as a whole and humanity. But yeah, no, that's really, really helpful.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Yeah, in my view as well, I don't see a distinction between spiritual awakening and Kundalini awakening. I think it's Kundalini that orchestrates any type of shift in transformation or consciousness. I think it's Kundalini that orchestrates puberty, everything. It's all the same thing. So sometimes people put them into categories. Oh, I had a spiritual awakening and I didn't have the Kundalini awakening. I think it's all Kundalini, it just looks very different for everyone. There is an argument to be made, though I don't know how valid, but there is an argument to be made. Some describe that if you had a major surge of energy, an explosion of energy up the spine, it's because your body wasn't prepared. That's why it was so intense. Whereas if your body was prepared, it would just flow gently. And so, yeah, the ideas of having a profound explosion and its bliss and its transcendence is a mystical experience. It's pretty far out and cool, but the fallout, I mean, I was in hell for 6 months afterwards. Um, that's why it's best to just take it slow, gently. And yeah, sometimes mystical experiences will come and go, but if we're looking for them, we tend to keep them at bay, not caring about them. Sometimes the universe blesses us with something cool, but the end of the day, it doesn't last. Doesn't last, right? We still have to chop wood, carry water anyway. It doesn't matter what mystical experiences we've had, really. So thank you, John, for your shares and really awesome clarity there about your experience. So thank you.
You too.
Yeah, Sherwin shares here. I had the explosive awakening. Shut up my neck, out my crown. My eyes made popping sounds, and I was super conscious for 3 weeks. But I wouldn't recommend or wish that on anyone because all my demons and traumas and everything also came out that 3 weeks. It was fascinating and mystical, but also the scariest thing ever. Yeah, very intense. Very intense. Yeah, sometimes people also may become somewhat, I don't know if the word is jealous. People described for 6 months, for 3 weeks, everything was blissful and amazing. And people think, whoa, that never happened to me. But the thing is, after that 3 weeks, after that 6 months, when things go back to quote unquote normal, the come down is not fun, right? The contrast is not fun. So, something to keep in mind as well. Not all of us will get these blissful, lengthy periods of, being fully in the flow and everything. But when they go, the pain, the grief can be immense, immense grief as well. So, it's best not to compare our paths and the experiences we have with others and to say, why do they get that or how could I get that and whatnot. No, we're given the experiences that are necessary for us, for our karma, for our journey, what's necessary for the lessons that we need to learn. And so we're here to talk about it openly, but we can also borrow from some of the other traditions where they don't talk about their experiences because it just brings up a lot of comparison unnecessarily. So you can find the balance between those two.